Well, there was on this site, if you go into the cathedral, you can see downstairs the site of the old Mithras, built in the 2nd century BC. 2nd century, sorry, not BC. 2nd century by the Roman soldiers. However, after the Edict of Thessaloniki, every temple has to be Christianized. And so, this is called Santa Reparata, the name of a Syrian saint who's supposed to have arrived appeared in the sky when the Goths arrived to pillage and loot the city, and she told them to buzz off, and they did. So the Florentines thought she was rather a good saint, and they called the new church after her. But it was a very small building, like all Mithras temples were. And you know about the Mithras cult, don't you? You do? No? Well, the Mithras cult is based on the belief that in the beginning of the world, Mithras was a servant of the sun god, sacrifices to the sun god a bull. Out of the entrails of the bull comes forth the whole of creation. It was a male initiatic religion, and the temples to Mithras were divided into 7 aisles, with various degrees of initiation. The last degree expected the candidate to be put in a sort of pit with a grill on top, wood, and a bull was sacrificed on him. So he was drenched in the blood and excrement of the poor animal. Only men could think of such a disgusting. Anyway, that was that. Yeah. And then loved it. Disgusting. Anyway, that was what happened to this one. Bravo, amore, bravo. Anyway. They're friends of mine. So it was transformed into a church, and it was very small. And in 1296, Pope Boniface VIII, who was kicked out of Rome by the aristocracy, came to say to sort of take refuge here, because remember, since 1250 there was no aristocracy here, so he felt safe. And he proclaimed himself emperor, thus enraging all the aristocracy of Rome. Not only Pope, but emperor. And the aristocracy of Rome said, "You're not emperor, you do not descend from Charlemagne, so buzz off." And he buzzed off, took refuge here, and here he was supposed to say mass, being a pope. And he didn't like the size of this church, he thought it was much too demeaning, so small. And so he said to the merchants of Florence, "You've built this enormous church for the Dominicans and an enormous one for the Franciscans, Santa Croce. Why can't you make a decent cathedral?" And the merchants said, "Oh, he's got a point." And they got Arnolfo di Cambio to restructure the whole thing. And this is the result. It's vast. I mean, Arnolfo was told to build the largest, most decorated, most everything church in the world. And this was started. Naturally, being the largest church in the world, it had to have the largest bell in the world, and you've just been subjected to it. And to hold the bell and limit the vibrations inflicted on the main structure, they decided the belfry would have to be separate. So it is separate. It is designed, in fact, not by Arnolfo, because he's dead by then, but by Giotto. That's why it's called Giotto's bell tower. And Giotto was told by the bishops to illustrate Christian tenets of the faith on it. And so therefore he put up on the 3rd level the prophets and kings, which are the first filters of God's will as it rains down upon earth. Okay? And then of course we have the pure spiritual values, which are further filters to God's will. And naturally, being pure and spiritual, they're male, because we know that only men have souls. And so we have the male symbol of the male protector of Florence before it was Christianized, the lion of Mars, the god of war, okay, on each court. And there we have, on this side, we have the male values of the planets, which are in those years considered the light of God piercing the veil of the heavens. And so we have the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, holding the lovers in her hand, and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, okay? You can see all the planets, the 7 planets as they were known then. On the south side we have the 7 virtues, the 7 liberal arts on the east side, and on the north side the 7 sacraments. And then we come down to this level, which is of course female, earthly, corrupt and disgustingly polluted, because it's female. The lily of Flora symbolizes the earthly polluted level, okay? And we have the creation of Adam, the creation of Eve, the first laborers in the fields, and then the first
Und dann?
Das ist die erste Arbeit auf den Bildern. And the first shepherd and dweller in tents. And there's the first winemaker, Noah. Winemaking, remember, is really one of our main activities in the countryside. We make and export a lot of wine. Chianti.
Wo ist Venus und
Venus?
da ist sie oben da. Da hat sie die Liebhaber. Also die zweite Reihe.